comparing lists and some happy and not so happy leaders when it comes to nation building projects. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
Deeper than the headlines.
The answers you need to know.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
The list. For weeks now, the Carney government has been hyping the list, the Prime Minister's second list of so-called nation-building projects. And this one came as advertised, since most of the list was leaked to the news media days in advance. There's LNG and new electric transmission infrastructure for the West Coast, mines for Ontario, Quebec, and New Brunswick, a hydro project in the north. And yet still, after two lists, there's no pipeline for Alberta. At the big reveal in Terrace, British Columbia, Prime Minister Carney was asked what Alberta needs to do to get a pipeline on one of his lists.
We're asked many things, and as I say, it's a productive discussion, meeting minds. We're looking for a major investment that puts, amongst other things, Alberta puts the industry, puts the country in a position for the energy future. And the future of energy, clean and conventional, is low risk. Canada's low risk. It's low cost, and it's low carbon. And you look again at the Silicim as an example. Top decile, one of the most environmentally sustainable LNG projects. Rightly proud of that. With respect to the emissions intensity of oil and gas, the intention is to get that down substantially. That has been falling. We have the opportunity to do that, and we need to do that in concert, as well as in concert. I'll say one other thing, and we'll pass on. Is making our industrial carbon markets, the tier market in Alberta, work more effectively.
The Conservative Party leader, Pierre Poilievre, is an Alberta MP these days, representing the riding of Battle River Crowfoot. Speaking in Calgary, Poilievre likened this new list to an old sign in a pub.
Well, tomorrow, it reminds me when you go into the pub, the Liberals are like that pub that has that sign on the wall that says free beer tomorrow. And so you come back the next day and it still says free beer tomorrow. And you keep coming back day after day for the promise of free beer, and the price of beer continues to rise and rise and rise. So they keep telling us that something is going to happen tomorrow. Mark Carney's been Prime Minister for 8 months, promising to move at, quote, unimaginable speeds. And yet there's not a single project that he has launched that was not already in the making or approved before he took office. Mark Carney needs to do only one thing for us to get a pipeline from Alberta to the Pacific. Get out of the way.
Meantime, Premier Danielle Smith is still sounding diplomatic and hopeful that her pipe dream will come true someday.
I can tell you that I am supportive of all of the projects that are on that list, and I'm really encouraged to see that so many of the other provinces are proposing resource projects that are revenue generating. I think that demonstrates that there really has been a sea change in public attitude in the last year, and it's good because we all need to develop these kinds of projects because we all are facing budget pressures, and this is going to be good for the country. So let me just say I'm very supportive of those. When it comes to our proposal, we want, of course, a bitumen pipeline to Asian markets, and we also are coupling that with the Pathways project, as well as addressing the 9 laws that have been impairing our investment climate. I've been going back and forth with the Prime Minister on a memorandum of understanding. I'm very encouraged by where we find ourselves, and I'm very hopeful, and we'll know in a few days whether or not that hope is well founded. But we are hoping to be able to get to an agreement.
It's no secret Premier Smith wants to see a pipeline to the West Coast, to Prince Rupert, but that is a non-starter for the NDP Premier of British Columbia, David Eby, who once again slammed the idea of another oil pipeline from Alberta.
It is no surprise to me that there is no heavy oil pipeline on this list, because there is no route, there is no proponent, There is no project. It is a figment of a communication person's mind in Alberta, and it has no connection to real investment in our country or in our province. If it goes ahead, it will only be because it is fully funded by taxpayers to the tune of $40 to $50 billion. And we already have a publicly owned pipeline that is not operating at capacity and could take on significant additional capacity. I remain frustrated that this appears to be an ongoing issue for Premier Smith. We've got so many things to work on together that could make a meaningful difference for her province and ours, whether it's around electricity rates in Alberta, whether it's around access to Tidewater for key products, whether it's around just working closely together as each other's major trading partners in Canada. So the door remains open, but let's be honest with ourselves, that pipeline is not happening, and that's why it's not on the list.
But another big BC LNG project is on the list. But just how Canadian is that LNG project? A pair of news reporters at the Prime Minister's event yesterday suggested an American company controls that project, and a lot of the project will actually be built in South Korea, using South Korean and Chinese steel. And they pressed the Prime Minister to explain that.
As it stands, Western LNG is the owner of the Xilisms terminal, and it would be built in Korea with Korean and Chinese steel. So how much taxpayer money are we prepared to invest in a project that is American-owned and foreign-built?
There are different aspects of the project, as I said. There is the PRGT pipeline, which is necessary, which is Canadian-owned First Nation. Sorry, can I finish? There is the associated transmission line that comes there. There are structures that come with projects that ensure that there is returns to taxpayers through the tax system as well. And the structure of the financing is a decision that we take with the full information of the project design. So that's part of, we answer that question with full information by doing the work, and that's what the referral to the major project office facilitates.
Now that another list is out, it's time to sell the list. And the Prime Minister is doing that today in Quebec. And then on Monday, it's back to the budget drama with the final confidence vote on the federal budget. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know on News Radio.
Critical thinking is not dead.
Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Returns on News Radio.
With our expert in communications, crisis communications, political communications, branding and leadership, Barry McLoughlin is the president of TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants. He lectures at the MBA program at the Shannon School of Business at Cape Breton University. You can read his Substack, listen to his podcast, or catch him every Friday right here on Now You Know. How are you this week?
I am doing great, Rob. It's a lovely Friday here in Ottawa, and although I hear that may change, but right now I'm loving it.
Okay, good. As a communications exercise, what do you think about how the Carney government is selling Canadians on projects in the national interest? Because it's a multi-day buildup, but is there really any big payoff in the end?
Well, it's a big announceable, right? I mean, it's in the gazillions of dollars. It's putting tangible evidence to the budget that claimed that we were going to be doing these things. So that's number one. He wants to the timing of this is not accidental. He's got to get this in within a few days of the budget. It hasn't gone up to a vote yet. So we need to get the announceables in of the major projects. I think the second challenge for him in all of these projects is these are long-term benefits for short-term, immediate anxieties that Canadians have because of the tariff situation, the uncertainty that's there, the concern, the loss of jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So he is playing the long game, which he must do. And these markets to be developed take, a number of years. His projects take a number of years. So it's a hard thing to get people jumping up and down with ecstasy. That's not going to happen. But they are very meaningful, and this has always been his vision of how we're going to untangle the Gordian knot we have with the American economy, that we have to be able to do this. So I think it's a solid step forward. Let's put it that way.
Okay, but a number of these projects have been in the works for years, if not decades. So people are questioning, what's the point of this exercise? And is this a government that is now in the habit of hyping big things and then more or less setting itself up for disappointment, whether it's major projects, whether it's meetings with Donald Trump at the White House or even the federal budget? What do you think?
Well, he's obviously had some problem with managing expectations. It is true. We thought we were going to be, getting some relief on tariffs. That didn't really seem to happen. In fact, we're, threats of increasing it. So that's been a difficult thing to do. And I think, trying to figure out the kabuki of dealing with Donald Trump is obviously an ongoing challenge. We haven't finished that scene because we still have are we going to go ahead with the son of Kuzma, or is it all going to be trashed? We don't even know that. So there's a lot of uncertainty about that. I think the long projects, a couple of them, the major change he has made is to limit to 2 years the amount of simultaneous consultations with Indigenous groups and all others, all within a 2-year period. That has never been done. All of them dragged out for 10 to 15 years and beyond. So that's a huge step in that can make a real difference. And so he also has proponents for each of these projects. That's critically important. And there are more to come. I know of one in particular. So there are more to come that, will gradually fill in the puzzle, because Canadians are wondering, hey, wait a second, how do we get out of this problem we're in? It's only really through other markets we can start to do that. But it is a misfit between long-term projects, short-term need. And that's the gap he has to try to fill in whatever way he possibly can.
Barry McLoughlin is with us from TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants. We'll stop a little early because when we come back, I want to ask you about the week that Pierre Poilievre has had. We talked about this last week as well, but he had a very feisty news conference when he meted the news media this week. He sparred with news reporters. Not the first time he has done that. I want to ask you about that. And maybe even talk a little bit about the Grey Cup as well, if we have time, with Barry McLoughlin from TLC. With us every Friday here on Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow, and this is News Radio.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
We're back with Barry McLoughlin, the president of TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants. Pierre Poilievre emerged this week for the first time since the floor crossing, and it was feisty with the conservative leader in the news media, sparred with them. He quizzed them, even mocked their coverage of the soap opera happening in his party. Let's listen to a little bit, for example, of an exchange he had with the CBC News reporter. Roll the tape.
Aaron Collins, CBC. So Chris D'Entremont, just turning back to last week, said that your party is being run like a frat house. So I'm just curious what you think he means by that, and if you think
I think that CBC had to be. Are you with CBC, by the way?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay, right.
So I'm just curious if you think that could lead to more MPs leaving your caucus, and what you think he means by that.
Well, first of all, CBC has had to correct the falsehoods that they put into that story. So I encourage you to tell Canadians about the falsehoods you published and explain why you did that.
A little bit from Pierre Poilievre this week in Calgary. What do you think, though, when he does that?
Well, you never lose a vote in a conservative gathering by ignoring the media. You always get a great reaction when you take a shot at them. So this will help store up among the conservatives, his standing. He is, just like Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper did not like the media and made that very clear. So it won't lose him any votes, I don't think. He's obviously on the defense, and he was coming across in that, I did watch the news conference, defensively, ready for it. He glanced down at his phone to line up that quote from D'Entremont. He was ready for it, So you could see where he had his knives were sharpened. With regard to the media, he obviously felt the coverage with regard to the floor crossing was inaccurate. There were corrections that had to be made, et cetera, et cetera. So he's on the defense, though, right? I mean, he was really, instead of making the news on the budget, he's making the news. We talked about this last week. He was making news on the floor crosser. Well, that's the wrong target. He escalated the issue beyond what it needed to be.
Okay. Want to ask you about the Grey Cup? I watched the Grey Cup, and I watched the CFL all season long because we're in a CFL city, and I cheer for the Ottawa Redblacks, even though they had a lousy season. I still cheer for them.
Yep.
Good or bad, I cheer for them. Okay.
Yep.
And I can't wait to see the new stadium when it's finally done. All right. That's been the big drama in Ottawa, right? As Barry well knows.
Yep.
But just on the Grey Cup, this is the 112th Grey Cup. Montreal is there. Saskatchewan is there. Should be a great game. But do you think Canadians have any, I don't know, cultural attachment to the CFL or the Grey Cup here in the year 2025?
Well, not as strong as they need to. I'll say that first of all. More and more of us do watch NFL. No question about it. Tons of people in Toronto drive down to the Buffalo Bills every game. There's always been a certain kind of imbalance by definition. We're always going to be the junior league compared to the NFL. However, they worked hard on the product. Canadians do care enough about it, that's for sure. But you have to publicize it and promote it. Like I have to say, I'm a little disappointed. I'm not seeing a lot of promotion. Like when it's in Calgary, they know how to promote it. Yes, they have horses come into hotel lobbies and stuff, but they know how to make news and promote. Wow, we got to be there. We got to see this. I'm not seeing that as much this time, which kind of disappoints me. Also, I think, though, that maybe this will be overcome by the fact that we're all deflated by what happened. We were escalated ourselves in our wonderful feelings about our country and sports with the Blue Jays. And then when they lost, it was kind of a deflation. So I think that they will come back. I think there'll be big numbers for the Grey Cup viewing. But I'm a little disappointed. They need a lot more promotion than that. One thing they could borrow from the NFL, besides the odd rule that they're borrowing, is let's borrow how they promote those games. And, that's very, very important to getting people excited about it. So, I'll be watching. I'll be, I did watch the Montreal Alouettes in person and I feel somewhat loyal to the Eastern team here, but I've always been a Saskatchewan Roughriders fan too. So this is going to be an interesting match, that's for sure.
Yeah, it should be a good one. Yeah. Thank you, Barry McLoughlin. Have yourself a great weekend. We'll speak next week.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, from TLC, Transformational Leadership Consultants, Barry McLoughlin, Tom Korski. From Blacklock's reporter, lots to talk about this week with Tom. Don't miss it. Coming up next on News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
He's been minding Ottawa's business all week long. Tom Korski is the managing editor of Blacklock's reporter, with us every Friday. Great to hear from you.
Well, thank you, Rob.
Well, let's start with the big scoop that you guys had this week. Who is Ariel Kayabaga, and why did she bill taxpayers more than $173,000 in 9 days?
One of those questions is a riddle wrapped in a mystery, Rob. Mrs. Kayabaga is a former councillor, city councillor from London, Ontario, and MP now, Liberal MP for London West. In the spring, she had a brief experience with greatness when she was appointed government house leader for 9 days just before the election, and appointed the Minister of Democratic Institutions at the same time. It was a 9-day appointment. And we see that through the records that Mrs. Kayabaga attended one cabinet meeting briefly, told reporters she acknowledged she didn't really know what the job entailed, and went back to London to prepare for her re-election. In the meantime, in that 9-day period, she bills the taxpayer almost $174,000 for personnel costs in her government house leader office. Problem, Rob. House is prorogued. There is no government house business because the House wasn't even in session and the minister wasn't in the city. So where did the money go? Mrs. Kayabaga has not been forthcoming, and her government house leader is now saying, well, much of that was for vacation pay. Vacation from what? We asked, were these people working on your election campaign? That's a big deal, by the way, when you're still on the public payroll.
Okay, I want to get to that. I'll get to that in a second, okay? She has issued a statement. This statement was released yesterday. And I would like to know what you think doesn't maybe add up, or what questions remain for you after I read this statement from Ariel Kayabaga, who is now the deputy leader in the House of Commons. Quote here: I would like to offer some context regarding the public expenses associated with my term as government House Leader earlier this year. I was appointed House Leader March 14th. The amounts referenced in recent reports reflect personnel expenses incurred up to March 31st. During that period, I inherited an existing fully staffed office and no new staff were hired. As indicated in the public accounts, $57,872 represents the actual personnel costs for that office. The remaining amount relates to mandatory vacation leave payouts governed by Treasury Board policies. These payments are administered automatically and are not subject to ministerial discretion. The office of the government House Leader remains operational year-round and continues to fulfill its responsibilities, both when Parliament is in session and during adjournments. For any further questions, please contact the office of the government House Leader. Sincerely, blah, 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 blah. What further questions do you have that she hasn't cleared up?
I'm happy to answer that, Rob. That statement was issued by the government House Leader on Mrs. Kayabaga's behalf. She signed it after we asked a follow-up question. I would like to state, I can tell you the question was in writing. I can tell you exactly what it said. Your social media posts show you were in London during the 9-day period, air quotes, personnel charges were run up at what appears to be an exorbitant rate. And you were publicly appealing for campaign volunteers before the election was called. There was no government House Leader business since the House was prorogued and you were out of the city. The implication is your personnel were working on your political campaign at public expense. Please advise. And Mrs. Kayabaga waited all day to answer the question I never asked. No one cares if she hired extra staff. How do they run up $174,000 in 9 days? It doesn't add up.
And you want to know, were ministerial staff working as campaign staff? Is that right?
Which is forbidden by under Treasury Board rules. Rob, they had to be doing something. Don't tell me that they're like firefighters. We never take a day off because we have to be on duty. Trust me, the most useless office in Ottawa when the House is prorogued is the House Leader's office. There's no reason to leave your own property to go into work. There is nothing to do. And yet they found a way to do something. Big billing.
So what could either the government House Leader's office say or her office say that would answer your question one way or the other?
No. They could say no. Of course not. These people would never do anything like that because, as Nixon used to say, that would be wrong. But when you ask a straight question, you don't get a straight answer in my experience as a reporter. There's a reason for that. Either there's a language barrier or they don't want to talk about the question you just asked.
Okay. What sort of documentation, because your Blacklock's is mostly driven by document journalism, you want to see documents. What documents could she provide that would, say, clear things up one way or another, do you think?
That would be any sort of invoicing through the office. It's very straightforward. But I can tell you, this is in a government document, public accounts, and the billing is very straightforward. That sum, almost $174,000, with the dates, March 14th to March 23rd, 2025. That's a wow. And they just won't come clean on it. And I have to say, when you spend that kind of money, no comment or answering questions you weren't asked is insufficient. It's not your money. And taxpayers are owed 174,000 explanations for why your office ran up that bill when you weren't even in town and they had nothing to do.
Okay, we'll be right back with Tom Korski from Blacklock's Reporter here on News Radio.
There is no question Rob won't get answered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues
on News Radio.
Back with Tom Korski, the managing editor of Blacklock's Reporter. How many cases of pandemic benefits fraud are suspected at CRA?
450, Rob. This was, of course, the agency that processed a lot of those applications for pandemic relief checks, the famous $2,000 CERB checks. 450 possible cases, says their internal investigations chief in a labor board hearing involving an auditor who was suspended for claiming benefits he wasn't entitled to. 450, that's an interesting number.
And why is that an interesting number? It's interesting to me because every time there's a number, the number keeps going up.
Exactly. Because in the day, Revenue Commissioner Bob Hamilton, God bless him, was asked about this in Public Accounts Committee. And he was asked by him, now this is a public office holder testifying in a parliamentary committee to members of parliament. He was asked, any shenanigans over at the CRA? Oh, no, sir. No, considerably, said Commissioner Hamilton. He was asked, can you provide the committee with a number? Asked John Williamson, chair of the Public Accounts Committee. And Commissioner Hamilton said, well, I'm quoting accurately, I don't have the number right in front of me. Not very many, obviously. Not very many doesn't cut it, said MP Williamson. Do you have something better? And Hamilton came back to, I'm going to get you those numbers. And he did. He said there were 10. Now, I'm not the Commissioner of Revenue, but 10 and 450 are not the same.
No, not the same at all. Isn't that something? Okay. Well, look, there's a help wanted sign outside the office of the parliamentary budget officer, and the government is looking for someone with, quote, tact and discretion. What do you think is going on there? Tact and discretion.
They're looking for a go-along, get-along guy to work as a parliamentary budget officer. It's an interesting assignment. Stephen Harper created that office, and MPs have always been awake to the suspicion that they would put a stooge in that office. And do you know who the last person I thought would be a stooge? This is interesting. Was Yves Giroux, the just retired budget officer. He'd worked at the Canada Revenue Agency. We just discussed. They're famous. And there were a lot of MPs and senators who thought, are you sure? Like a CRA manager, really? And Giroux really grew into that job and became a very fearless critic on behalf of taxpayers against waste and fraud. And that's the problem that Cabinet has. Everyone who seems to walk into that office suddenly is interested in not taking your word for anything about anything, like, for instance, vacation pay, and wanting to get to the bottom of it. It is the problem they have, Rob. Under the Conservatives thought of that in the day. Opposition gets a say in who gets the appointment.
Yeah. Okay. Some people may recall Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, was very hot on Canada securing a seat on the United Nations Security Council, a seat it eventually did not win, but it certainly spared no expense trying to. How much did it spend, for example, on a climate financing program?
Over $6 billion. They budgeted $9 billion, and they spent over $6 billion, $6.2 billion. This is a new audit from the Department of Foreign Affairs. This was supposed to provide aid to poor countries, mainly in Africa and Asia, to deal with climate change. And this was in the era of the Canada's Back Baby campaign to get us a seat on the United Nations Security Council. Well, they expanded the staff who processed payments from 4 to 30 employees. Was anything else achieved, asked auditors? Not so much, Rob. Even the auditors called it a tick box exercise.
Wow. Very expensive box. $6.2 billion. Goodness gracious. Imagine what you could do to the newspaper industry with $6 billion. Speaking of which, how's the newspaper industry doing?
No, not so much. Newspaper revenue's down a quarter since 2020. Wait a minute, what happened in 2020? What's so magic about that? That's the year they got their bailout, which is going on to this day. It was supposed to be a 5-year bailout. It's become a bailout in perpetuity. The bailout initially budgeted at over $500 million. By the way, if you're a small business rancher, doesn't matter. How would you like a $30,000 rebate per employee every year? Because that's what they get in the newspaper business. Their revenues are still crashing. Their sales are still falling. Their lobbyist is still testifying, we can't make a go of it, says Paul Deegan, Chief Executive Officer of News Media Canada. He's the publisher's man. And he said that we're powerless to stop this downward slide. I guess we need more subsidies.
Well, in fact, I'll tell you, a lot of the Quebec newspapers owned by Quebecor, which is also the parent company of TVA in Quebec, where they just laid off 85 people. The Quebec papers, I'm like Journal de Quebec, Journal de Montreal, like every second story was, we need more money. We need more money. We are going out of business, and Ottawa's not listening. But aren't they, like, this is still an ongoing thing? Is it not an annual $130 million thing?
Oh, absolutely. And the publishers would like it to go on till kingdom come.
All right. When we come back, a couple of quick housekeeping items. Going to talk about some news out of Canada Post and some history out of Prince Edward Island when we return with Tom Korski from Blacklock's reporter on News Radio.
You have questions?
Now you know with Rob Snow has the answers.
On News Radio.
Here with Tom Korski from Blacklock's reporter. What's ahead for stamp prices?
It's the law, Rob, that Cabinet must sign off on all stamp rate increases at Canada Post under an act of Parliament. It's been that way for 158 years. Cabinet now proposing to allow Canada Post management to raise prices as it likes, anytime it likes, very speedy. The old process takes about 3 to 4 months. Oh, by the way, the stamp rates already went up 25% this year. The price is not going down, trust me.
Okay. But they won't have to go through Parliament. That's the big change there. All right. A couple of other interesting items that you'll read for subscribers at Blacklock's reporter this week. A piece of Canadiana is headed to the scrapyard. Tell us about the MV Prince Edward.
That is the last government ferry to ply the PEI Nova Scotia route before they built the Confederation Bridge. And it went out of service when they built the bridge, the fixed link, which was so controversial. They had a plebiscite in Prince Edward Island. The vessel is now tied up at Springdale, Newfoundland and Labrador. It is a wreck, and it will be sold for scrap.
Sold for scrap. The MV Prince Edward. I've probably bid on that as a child. I can certainly remember the long lines waiting for the ferry to go from Nova Scotia to PEI. And they used to have summer students would go out into the line and quiz the motorists and do a poll every summer. Do you want a fixed link or do you want the ferry? And I'm sure all the people on the PEI side would, because they felt with a fixed link that their culture would be compromised. You know, we're an island. We can't have how can we be an island with a fixed link? Meantime, all the other people in the line waiting for the ferry, like my father, would say, they can't build it fast enough because I've been waiting 4 hours for this ferry.
Former Premier Alex Campbell, he said in a commentary at Blacklock's, he said, we were told we'd lose our sheltered, bucolic way of life, and hooligans from the mainland would be able to drive to the island and ruin everything.
Yeah, well, there may be some truth in that. Look, very quickly, from time to time, Blacklocks will publish just little guest commentaries, maybe a paragraph, maybe two. You have one from Doug Small. Now, look, that was quite a time ago now, 1989, I guess. Doug Small, journalist with Global News, leaked the budget. Just give us a little reminder of that story, Tom.
1989 budget. Doug had a source at a Queen's printer, and he leaked then Finance Minister Michael Wilson's budget on the air before the Minister of Finance spoke in the House of Commons. Cabinet got upset. He was arrested by the RCMP, charged with disclosing official secrets. It cost his employer six figures in legal fees before it was dropped. And Doug Small, to this day, remains one of the few reporters ever arrested for doing his job. And he's a great guy, still in Ottawa, involved in minor baseball with his grandchildren. Just a great guy and a great story.
Unbelievable story. That is an unbelievable story. Part of Canadian history as well. Thanks, Tom. Great to hear from you this week. Have a great weekend. Talk next week.
You too. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, bye-bye. Tom Korski, managing editor, Blacklock's reporter. Talkback is coming up next. Friday, free-for-all Talkback, so we're wide open. Open line, open topic. This is how we roll to get into the weekend. 1-833-668-2577. We'd love to hear from you today on Talkback. This is News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now.
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to Talkback. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. And it's the Friday free-for-all today. Made it to Friday, our favorite day of the week around here. We don't come up with the topics on Friday. We leave that up to you. So what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about? If you want to talk about something that's been in the news, well, there's always news, lots of news this week. If you want to talk about something that you think should be in the news, just feel free to raise it here. Whatever it happens to be, serious, not so serious, we have a phone line for you. And all of our phone lines are open right now at 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. If you've never called before, just mention that. And you get to go first. We'll make your call a priority. 1-833-668-2577. We have some topics ready to just act as conversation starters. Really nothing more than that. I mean, the major projects list. Big news story this week. The major projects list, the second such list of projects in the national interest. I mean, if you're in British Columbia, I guess, you have to be a happy camper. I mean, you now have 4 projects on the list if you're in British Columbia, like the cup runneth over. Ontario, 2 projects so far. Nickel mine and in the northern Ontario. Darlington nuclear project as well. 2 projects for Quebec so far. Graphite mine. And expanding the port on the South Shore of Montreal is actually a lot of local pushback against that, by the way. A lot of local protests happening down that way every now and then. New Brunswick, which is home to the only liberal provincial government in the entire country these days, gets 1 project, open pit mine, that has actually been trying to get off the ground for decades. It's in the northern part of the province, which traditionally votes liberal. Let's see. Nova Scotia, nothing for you. Sorry, Nova Scotia. Same for our friends in Newfoundland and Labrador. Nothing for you. Or Prince Edward Island. Nothing for you. Nunavut is going to get a hydroelectric project. I mean, long overdue. Since Iqaluit is largely relying on diesel fuel almost all year round. And for Manitoba, nothing official yet. There is hope that someday something would be announced for the Port of Churchill, but nothing yet. Saskatchewan gets the nod with 1 copper mine. And, of course, sweet nothing for Alberta. Sweet nothing. No pipeline. No pipeline. 2 lists, 0 pipelines. What do you think of that? 1-833-668-2577. Pipeline politics. Honest to goodness. I mean, what do you think of that? What do you think of that? One of the big sales pitches from Prime Minister Carney with these major projects, you just have to listen to him, is trade diversification. Trade diversification. The world has what Canada wants. He says something along those lines all the time. We have what the world wants, and we have to pivot. We have to pivot away from the United States. We rely too much on the United States. And he's traveled all over the world, he says, to try and drum up business for Canada. Here we have Canada's most valuable export. Crude oil. By far. Canada's most valuable export. By far. And 90% of it goes to the United States. 90% of it goes to the United States, and there's still no pipeline on the list. Can someone even attempt an explanation at that, please? 2 lists, big shows from the Prime Minister, speeches about being bold, getting things built, all of this stuff, all the flowery, lofty language. And still, and this is my own opinion, what really should be, the poster child for trade diversification, a pipeline that allows Alberta to sell its product to thirsty Asian countries, just can't make it to the list. What is going on with that? What do you think is going on with that? 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. That's one of the big stories of the day. Major projects and oil pipelines don't qualify as major projects. In Ontario, the big story is speed cameras. Dabbing the speeders with photo radar. That is no more, as of today, gone and banned by the government of Ontario, led by Premier Doug Ford. What do you think of that decision? I, for one, as someone who has been nabbed more than once, unjustly, I would add, by those blasted things, I, for one, celebrate the demise of the speed camera, purely for selfish reasons. And I do agree with Doug Ford that they were being used by municipalities as cash grab. That's my own opinion. But what do you think? Ontario Premier Doug Ford calls speed cameras a cash grab. He has ordered them banned by municipalities. He says if municipalities want funding for other road safety measures, they're welcome to apply, and his government will provide them with the money. His critics say he's ignoring the evidence, and the evidence proves speed cameras work. But if a speed camera, drivers slow down. What do you think? We talked about this a few weeks ago. In Alberta, they did away with most of the speed cameras, with a few exceptions. In Nova Scotia, there's been actually some talk that the Nova Scotia government might introduce speed cameras. They've never been used in that province before. What do you think? Speed cameras, important road safety tool, or blatant cash grab? It's the Friday free-for-all talkback. We'll just a few topics there for you, but we'll go wherever you want to take us today. 1-833-668-2577. We'd love to hear from you on the Friday free-for-all talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Eric in Halifax up first. Friday free-for-all talkback. Hi, Eric.
Hey, good afternoon, Rob. Well,
yeah,
it's that time of the year. It comes down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
And like I said to Curtis, if that guy's hamstring acts up, Saskatchewan will have a field day. But if his hamstring doesn't act up, it could be a very close game. I gave some figures too, because you know I love sports. I did some figuring out here. Montreal, they scored 445 points in the season. Saskatchewan scored 472. But in the points against, Montreal scored 430, and against, and Saskatchewan Roughriders did 409. But here's the gut thing. On the 2nd of August, Saskatchewan went into Montreal and blew them away. But on the 13th, Saskatchewan figures, well, we're in the driver's seat. We're going to rest half our bench. Montreal took it to them. They won by 17. So with that all said, it's going to be a close one, and I'm going to say the game is going to be 21-17 in favor of Saskatchewan, pending the quarterback from Montreal doesn't have anything to do with his hamstring.
Okay. Yeah, I think you've got some great analysis there. Yesterday, I made my prediction. I'm going Riders by 10, but I think you've keyed in on kind of the wild card is how healthy is Davis Alexander, because gosh, he can be a real game breaker. I've been very, very impressed with his play. I have to say, and when they were struggling was when he was out of the lineup when Montreal was losing. So I think he could be a real game changer. It's just Saskatchewan has just been the class of the league, all season.
Well, they're the class of the league because of what the record they had. I mean, they went 12-6, where Montreal went 10-8. So there's only 2 games that separated them. I mean, it's going to be close, but it depends upon Alexander and his hamstring. Because if his hamstring acts up, Saskatchewan is just going to take him to the cleaners.
Yeah, and I would just say for Saskatchewan, like the 2 players to watch are obviously, what kind of game do you get from Trevor Harris, ageless Trevor Harris, like 39 years old to be playing at that level, still playing so well. And the guy I really like from Saskatchewan is Ouellette, AJ Ouellette, the running back. I think if they can get him going, could be a long day for Montreal.
Wide receiver from Montreal, Phil Pont.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a great game. I'm saying Saskatchewan by 10, but last season, I didn't think Toronto would win, so I was dead wrong there. So they were big underdogs. So we'll see what happens. Should be a good one though. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be good. And by the way, it's a pretty good weather forecast for Winnipeg for this time of year. Forecast Sunday for Winnipeg: sunshine, daytime high +3, and temperature around game time probably +1, 0 maybe, and just a slight breeze out of the northwest, but no snow. So, should be a good one. And sold out in Winnipeg, of course, good CFL fans there. Thanks, Eric, for your call. Eleanor is up next in Calgary. Hi, Eleanor.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm very good, Eleanor. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind today?
Okay, so Danielle Smith had asked Albertans to be patient and wait for Carney to give him a chance. And he said that he would give his answers by Grey Cup, and he's already given his answer, and he's excluded Alberta on both plans. And now, more than ever, Albertans are talking that we need to be a separate entity. And where I was thinking, no, I love my country, I got to tell you, I'm tired of being taken. I mean, I listen to Quebec, and they want to be their own sovereignty, and I get it.
Some of them
and
do,
then,
not very many.
Okay, all right. And well, I hear that on social media they're talking the numbers are over 50%, but that may be...
No. It's not anywhere close to that. There was a poll released just in the last week or so. It's less than 30% of Quebecers want to separate now. They don't even want a referendum, but...
Okay.
And just because they're going to elect a separatist party doesn't mean they necessarily want separation. They just want better government. That's what's happening there. I live there. So
okay. So now I'm disappointed with BC because Evie doesn't even sound like he wants to play ball with all of Canada. Certainly not with Alberta. And now people are saying that we need to stop. We need to start shopping. When we buy Canadian, we need to stop buying stuff from BC. Like if it's a wine and you want to buy it from down east. Don't buy it from BC and things like this. And it's just gotten to be a gong show. I'm extremely disappointed in Carney and the Liberals. I can't say enough how disappointed I am with Eastern Canada, Ontario, who complained bitterly prior to the election in April that they wanted a different government and they wanted things different, and then they turn around and put the same thing in. It's like a revolving door that never changes. We just keep going around and around with the same problems. And if it brings, if Alberta has to separate, I think Saskatchewan will join us.
Did you ever think that way before?
No. Nope.
No?
Not until I gave Carney a chance. I gave what Danielle said a chance.
But now you're open to the idea.
Very much,
Okay, that's
yep,
interesting.
If we have a
very much so.
referendum.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, really? Okay. All right, Eleanor. Thank you. Just like that, off and running. From pipeline politics to Alberta separation to the Grey Cup in Winnipeg on Sunday, we'll cover anything on a Friday free-for-all. What do you want to talk about? You could start a conversation of your own if you want to. We'll follow along. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Friday free-for-all Talkback. Sunny in Calgary today. Hello, Sunny.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm very good. Good to hear from you. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm just calling because I'm so frustrated with this pipeline issue in Calgary, Alberta. I don't know why they are delaying everything. They are talking about the pollution, everything. Now Carney increased the budget for that, like a defense, which is producing bombs, which can create, when it go down, and create more carbons than the pipelines are. Plus, I'm talking about the EVs for the BC. They are saying this is creating a pollution, right? So why the aeroplane create more than pollution anything else? Why they don't stop the planes in the BC if they are more concerned about the environment? Because planes are the most polluted creation on the world.
Okay. Do you think that Alberta is being shortchanged, forgotten, overlooked, ignored? Just what do you think is going on here with this lack of a pipeline?
Now I'm thinking in a bad way, Because they are not taking it serious as Alberta. I think it's more concerned about the boats, because eastern side has more boats, right, as compared to the Alberta.
Okay. That's
why they are ignoring Alberta. So I think we need to increase our reporting, or I don't know what we can do. Yeah.
Okay. But you're disappointed. You're disappointed in the Prime Minister. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough, Sonny. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. He's disappointed. Okay. Herman. Let's go to Herman up next. Hi, Herman.
How's it going, Rob?
Yeah, very good, Herman. Thanks. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just wanted to call a little bit on a light note. Out here in Calgary, as you know, or in Alberta, they stopped the photo radars.
Yeah.
So they have the construction zone and playground zone. Now you really see a big presence of all police on the road doing check stops and stuff like that. I don't have any theories myself. I don't know if you would. You're kind of in the know. Where were all these police officers before?
Okay.
Did we just hire a bunch of police officers? And
I'm not sure.
What were they doing before?
I'm not sure. I don't have an answer for you. But, my question today is, on speed cameras, as of today, they're not allowed in Ontario. That was kind of the news gist there. And I'm just asking, Premier Ford is saying they're a cash grab. Municipalities were using this to raise money. We'll give them money if they want, traffic safety measures, road safety measures. Premier Smith called them a cash grab as well.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
You put them up and people will slow down. That's the thing. And speed kills, right? So there are two sides to this story here. I'm just wondering what side you're on.
Well, I think they're a bit of a cash grab. Like if you put them on the highway, like Stony Trail, now they're talking about raising the speed limit to 120.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't advise that the way we drive out here.
You wouldn't advise that, okay. How fast do people normally drive on that road? I'm not familiar with the road. How fast do people normally?
It's about that. It's about 120, 130.
It's about that. 120, 130.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You can notice the speed has picked up a little since the photo radars are gone.
You have.
But,
okay. All right. Thank you. Good to hear from you. Lots of lines available. Lots of things we can talk about on a Friday free-for-all. This is News Radio.
Have Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Let's go to Dell in Parkland today. Friday Free for All Talkback. What's on your mind?
Pipeline.
Pipeline, okay. What about it?
I think Barney, he's a snake oil salesman. We're not going to, he won't approve it.
Why not?
Why not? Because that will give Alberta too much money, and they don't want that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Why wouldn't the federal government? It would mean money for the federal government too, of course.
Well, exactly. What our Premier, Daniel Smith, should do is what Lougheed did back in the 80s, start shutting the gas down and all that, and cut down the transfer payments. And then maybe we'll be able to get a pipeline put through.
Okay. Well, the transfer payments are administered by the federal government, so Daniel Smith has no control over that. But you're likening back to let the eastern bastards freeze in the dark. That's how you feel, right?
Yes.
That was that wasn't really a Lougheed line, but it was more of a kind of a bumper sticker campaign, I think, back then, was it not? Yeah, around the National Energy Program.
Yeah, exactly. Because at that time I lived out here then, and at that time, good old Pierre Trudeau wanted our Heritage Fund because it would pay off the national deficit, and he figured he'd try to get that, but he didn't get it.
Yeah, well, he certainly wanted more control over resources, natural resources. He wanted Ottawa to have a share of the abundance that was in Alberta at the time. That was part of it, right? Yeah.
I don't think it's
terrible time,
at all.
of course. Yeah. So one of the previous callers said, and I'm just going to ask you the same thing, that she had never thought about Alberta independence before, but because of this, she's thinking more about it. What about you?
Same thing. I've had enough with the Liberal government. Yep, same thing. Because they do a lot of promising and they don't come through.
Okay, now let's say 10 years ago, how did you feel? Would you have ever pictured yourself saying something like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
All right. As far as I'm concerned, we can separate anytime. It doesn't bother me at all.
No, really? Okay. All right. Thank you. Good to hear from you. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. I really want to get into, here's a topic I would really like to get into today with your help. There's a lengthy article in the news today about safe supply programs for people who are addicted to drugs, to the heavy painkiller drugs, the opioids. And it says that Health Canada was advised by experts to expand these safe supply programs, expand access to these programs, and expand the types of so-called safe drugs. Instead, the government, that would be the Carney government, has ended federal funding for these safe supply programs, and they don't like that. They say it's going to kill people. So this safe supply, we've talked about this before, safe supply. The proponents call it harm reduction. Safe supply is harm reduction, about reducing harm, like supervised consumption sites, which have always been controversial. One of the controversies with safe supply programs is that the so-called safe drugs, which are basically hydromorphone tablets, they aren't strong enough for the addict. And as a result, what's been happening is that the person who gets the safe drugs from the safe supply program turns around and sells them on the street to go buy the dirty drugs instead, because the dirty drugs are much more potent. There have been hearings on Parliament Hill about this. We have heard from law enforcement about how these hydromorphone tablets from the government-funded safe supply programs are being found all over the place whenever they do drug busts. Organized crime is peddling these safe drugs, and it's like the government is the wholesaler. Law of unintended consequences. There have been stories of teenagers who have never, ever tried these drugs before, getting addicted to hydromorphone from safe supply programs because they are now so readily available. And yet, despite what we have heard over the last few years, we have experts at Health Canada are insisting these programs should be expanded. And they want safe versions of other drugs as well. Safe meth and safe cocaine. Safe meth and safe cocaine. But apparently, the advice was ignored by the government, and at least the federal funding for these programs has ended. I'd like to know what you think about that decision. Right decision by the government, wrong decision by the government. The experts, the advocates for this type of approach say it's the wrong decision, people are going to die. They always say it's about harm reduction. Let's keep the addict alive so that hopefully someday they'll come to their senses, get into a treatment program, and until then, let's try and keep them alive. And that's what a program like a Safe Supply program will do. The dirty street drugs will kill them. That's what the advocates say. The opponents say, you're killing people with kindness. You are prolonging addiction. And these programs don't work. If anything, they make a bad situation even worse. And we have been trying this harm reduction approach from one end of the country to the other, started with Insight on the downtown east side of Vancouver decades ago now. And can you really say the situation has improved? Or has it only gotten worse? Critics would say it's got a lot worse. And the government should not be funding any of these harm reduction programs. They're not working. What do you think? Love to get back into that debate with you. Always controversial. It's a Friday free-for-all talkback, though. We'll go where you want us to go. 1-833-668-2577. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Eric is in Nova Scotia on the line today. Hi, Eric. Good to hear from you.
Hey, Rob. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. What's on your mind today?
First-time caller. Just one thing that's in the news that you haven't mentioned is about the fighter jets they want to build in Canada. Sweden. Did you see that in the news yesterday?
I saw that. I don't think I'm not sure if they'd be built in Canada. There would be some staff in Canada. They say 10,000 employees in Canada. I don't know if they'd be manufactured here. But they're Swedish jets, after all.
Don't you think that'd be a great thing for the country? Build your own, build your own jets here.
Well, again, they're Swedish jets. So how much of the manufacturing is actually going to be done here?
Well,
these are jets by Saab, right?
We would supply all the parts, wouldn't we? It's what I got from the.
Well, that's. If I could, you're asking the question. That is part of the deal already with the F-35 fighter program. That was one of the selling points for Canada's aerospace and defense industry. Is under the procurement for the F-35. Not only would our defense industry get to supply parts and technology to just the Canadian jets, but all the jets that the Americans are building through the F-35 program for all the countries.
Yeah, so it would be a great thing. I think there shouldn't be any discussion on that. It should just agree to it right away, our Liberal government. You know, he wants to make our country a sovereign country. Build the jets here. And the thing about the oil that you mentioned, too, 90% of our oil is shipped to the United States. You know, yes. Canada's the third largest. We have the third largest reserves of anybody in the world. Why are we shipping our oil to the States? Why don't we keep it here? Just Google and find out how much a liter of gas is in Venezuela or Saudi Arabia compared to the price that we pay for it here.
Yeah, well, Venezuela's communist and has a managed economy, so that's not really an apples to apples comparison. But I understand your point. What do you think the reaction from the White House would be if we said we're not going to buy the F-35s after committing not once but twice to buy them. And instead we're going to buy these jets from Sweden. What do you think the reaction would be?
What do you think that fool down there would do? He'd just put more tariffs on us.
Yeah. And would that be good for the country?
No, I don't know if it would be good for the country, but we could stand up against him, like letting him get away with everything he's doing down there. I don't agree with that, but that's just my opinion. And I'm a firm believer that a true Canadian and what we have in Canada should be ours. Like 90% of our oil going to the United States. Wow, unbelievable.
Okay. We have committed to buy eventually 88 of those jets. The F-35 from the United States.
I think it's 16, isn't it? That's what I read. 16.
16 confirmed, but over the years, eventually 88.
Yeah. Well, get the 16 and then build the other 62 or whatever it is in Canada. That's my take. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that. And
fair enough. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Yeah, I mean, they're being wooed for sure. They're being wooed. They're being wooed on fighter jets. They're being wooed on submarines as well. And where are we going to buy the submarines? I'm just hoping the procurement goes a lot better than some of the recent defense procurements, and we can, get them before we're all dead and gone. Alex is up next. Hi, Alex.
Hey, how you doing?
Very good, Alex. Thank you.
Good.
What's on your mind today?
I can sit on the phone with you for hours. I'm born and raised in Calgary. I've been in the oil and gas industry for 25 years. Fiscally conservative, morally liberal. You touch base on the safe consumption. I want to know where, as a society, do we go wrong in enabling people to just drown themselves with addiction? Like, I've traveled the world. I've worked in the Middle East. I've worked in South America. Canada has gone backwards, and I'm not going to blame the Liberals or the Conservatives, but I can't remember at what point in the last 10 or 15 years we've shifted to condoning.
Well, I mean, you say you don't want to blame the Liberals or the Conservatives, but certainly the approach when it came to this kind of stuff, harm reduction, the Harper government was totally opposed to this. Insight, which was the first supervised consumption site in the country in the downtown east side of Vancouver, the Harper government fought that in court and did not want that approach to continue whatsoever. This was a full-on embrace by the Trudeau government. This is a Trudeau government approach. Okay? Now, Mr. Carney has had his government end funding for these safe supply programs. The experts are saying it's going to kill people.
We almost need to take a hard approach, whether Qatar, for example, and Qatar. We need to take a step back and take that hardline approach to, and I hate saying this because people are going to blow up about this. Again, I'm fiscally conservative, but I'm morally liberal. This is the morals in me. This needs to come to an end. And whether it's imprisonment or whatever it is, and our judicial system is a complete mess. No, I'm acknowledging that. But you need to take a hardline approach, such as some of these Middle Eastern countries, and people need to understand. I've traveled the world. There's some beautiful countries there. This does not happen there. Like, it's immediate imprisonment, whether you're an addiction or you're a dealer. It falls both ways, and it's probably going to.
Well, the hardline approach in Canada, and it's starting to take shape now, is not prison. We don't want to criminalize addiction. It's a public health issue, right? It's a health issue. It's disease. So we don't want to criminalize it, but it is mandatory treatment. There are mandatory treatment programs. What do you think about that?
I'm on board for it, but we need to do something as society and just humanitarian needs to help these people rather than condoning it and giving them safe injection sites. We're going ass backwards as a society in North America, and you watch the rest of the world progress.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for having your say on that. I'm glad somebody's interested in that topic. I'm very interested in that topic, and whether there's actually a change in direction when it comes to the harm reduction approach with drug addiction policy in this country. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Back to Nova Scotia we go for the Friday Free for All Talkback. Dave is up next. Hi, Dave. Hello, Dave. I got you, Dave. Do you got me?
Yeah, do you got me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear, Dave. What's on your mind?
All right. I just want to rebound back to the fighter jet conversation that was happening with regards to the procurement of these military piece of military equipment. A lot of Canadians are, you hear, well, we want it built in Canada, we want to create jobs. But to be honest, we need to come down to the fact that, honestly, we got to get away from that. And we need to look as a government and as a national defense organization to say we need to buy these things that are already proven off the shelf, give them to our sailors, soldiers, and aviators so that they can go out and do the job. Because otherwise, we're going to spend 10 years trying to figure out how it works, 10 years trying to train, and by the time these things happen, the war is already over.
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, there are two planes out there. They're both out there. There is this Saab that's been out there for a long time, and then you have this F-35. Do you have a preference for either one?
I mean, I don't. I think we need to leave this to the subject matter experts, right?
Okay.
And not the Canadian public, because nobody in the Canadian public, other than a limited few, are actually subject matter experts when it comes to these pieces of equipment. So we need to find those people and say, what do we need? When it comes to the submarines, right now, there's a few front runners, South Korea, Germany, France. But effectively, South Korea, I'd say, is probably the front runner only because Germany announced a couple weeks ago that they had a plan that they could potentially have these products assembled in Canada as like a selling feature. But to be honest, we don't need that. We just need them off the shelf.
Right. And I mean, how many years has it been since Canada first committed to buy the F-35?
Right. It's been years, and look,
it's been 15 years.
Right.
15 years.
And and I mean, we see the way the world is right now, and as far as Canada's concerned, we're a small military, but just looking from a Navy perspective, we're a 3-ocean Navy. But we're not.
Sure.
But we aren't. At the end of the day, we are geographically, but we aren't. And in order to get there quickly, we have to buy products off the shelf that are ready to go, that our allies can train us on, and we can go out and do what we got to do.
Yeah. I mean, here we 15 years since we first decided to do it. Then Trudeau comes along and says, "Oh, we're gonna give it a rethink." Then recommits to buy the F-35, and now here we are doing another rethink. And in the meantime, all over the world, these F-35s are flying in 20 countries, and there are 1,200 of them operating.
Yeah.
And we're still flying CF-18s. CF-18s that we first took delivery of in the 80s, sir. In the 80s.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So we have good people. We just need to give them the equipment that works and stop trying to reinvent the wheel and just say, hey, listen, there's products out there that work, that are effective. We have the people, get them in our hands, train us on them, and we'll go.
Thank you for your call. Hour number 2 of the Friday Free for All Talkback after the latest breaking news on News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Friday Free for All Talkback, last hour of the week for us. So pick a topic, we'll go with it. Wayne Foothills. Thanks for waiting there, Wayne. I know it's been a bit of a wait for you. You're up next.
Yep. Okay, great. I'd like to kind of go off of, I've got a couple of things here. First, It makes it sound like everybody from Alberta is wanting to separate, but I don't think that's the case. We actually have a general population of 5 million, and to put a referendum ballot to stay in Canada, the signatures required was 294,000, and they ended up with 456,000. So if you look at the voting population, which is going to be obviously less than 5 million, there's a significant number of people just signed that petition to get the referendum in there. So I just want to make that comment. Second thing is on the Carney government. I've been a conservative, as you know, for a long, long time, but I think we have to start giving people a chance, and we can't just automatically say that they're against us. He's only been in there for 7 months, and we're talking about he's had 2 announcements of major projects, and as you pointed out, a lot of those were already in the hopper anyway, so they've had some of the work done. Danielle Smith herself said it's been like night and day between Trudeau and Carney, and she herself said they just have to do some of the preliminary work to get it onto that list. So she's not off running, against Carney. So, and
not
probably, not yet. I know, but she's got and she established a committee to do the preliminary work as well. They need to do the preliminary work, and then they have to see if they can get an investor to go along with it. So, and she seems pretty confident about that. The other thing too is I know we could talk, and back to the separation thing, we always talk about the transfer payments, and as you know, as I've said before, Stephen Harper had a majority government, and he did not change the formula for transfer payments. So when he didn't do that, I don't know why Western Canada wasn't, well, particularly Alberta, wasn't up in arms that he had a majority and he didn't do that.
I don't know why he didn't do that either. That was always puzzling for me, why he didn't do that. I suspect it's because he didn't want to anger his own political base in Ontario, where he was very popular in suburban GTA communities and in parts of Quebec as well.
Quebec. Yeah, it was all about the seats that they'd lose in Ontario and Quebec. The one new topic I'd like to kind of introduce is I'm getting kind of tired of the government's just automatically throwing around that they're going to use the notwithstanding clause. So I think what I would propose is that if a provincial government wants to use the notwithstanding clause, then they should have 90 days to do a referendum in their province to make sure they're actually representing the will of that province. But they just, and as we've heard, they use it once and then it starts to become easier and so on and so forth. And so I think I'm not saying that they're wrong in doing it. I'm saying that they're not consulting properly. And they weren't elected on that notwithstanding clause requirement. So I think that that's something that I think needs to be changed. It might come out with the same result, but the population needs to be consulted before it's done.
Yeah, that's your opinion. I don't agree with that opinion, but I appreciate it. There is going to be a long, hard look at the notwithstanding clause, I will say, at the Supreme Court of Canada, and the government of Canada is an intervener in the case because there's going to be a hearing at the Supreme Court, not about anything that's happening in Ontario or Alberta, but what's going on in Quebec, where they love to use the notwithstanding clause. And the Quebec bill is Bill 21, which is the secularism bill. No religious symbols in the public sphere, teachers wearing hijabs and whatnot. So all that is going to the Supreme Court of Canada, which is going to weigh Quebec's use of the notwithstanding clause. And the government of Canada's position is not really about Bill 21 and the validity of Bill 21, because the Carney government is cowardly and doesn't want to lose votes in Quebec. Quebec delivered the victory to the Liberals in the last election. And in Quebec, Bill 21 is very popular. So what the federal government has decided to do is to ask the courts to opine on placing limits on a provincial government using the notwithstanding clause. Sean Fraser, the new Attorney General, is leading that charge. We'll see what happens with that. But he wants, and by way of the Prime Minister, wants the Supreme Court of Canada to put limits on a provincial government's ability to use the notwithstanding clause. In my own opinion, they're just asking for trouble by doing that. They're asking for trouble in Quebec. They're asking for trouble in just about every provincial legislature in the country. Thank you for your call today. Let's take one more here. Sam in Lunenburg. Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hi there.
In Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. Yeah, go ahead.
So I know people normally call talk radio because they want to complain, but I just wanted to mix things up a little today.
Okay.
Over here in Nova Scotia, a lot of us breathed a pretty big sigh of relief earlier this week when we found, I'm not sure, are you familiar with the West Mabu Beach issue?
Yes, I am.
Provincial park.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, anyway, those talks for that particular proposal are off the table for now, according to our premier.
For people in other parts of the country. So this is a beach and it's a park, right?
Provincial park.
It's designated a provincial park.
Provincial park. Yeah.
And there's a golf course developer, very well known one, Cabot, which has built world-class golf courses, very high-end golf courses on Cape Breton Island. I mean, some of the best golf courses in the world. Very expensive, very pricey. People fly their private jets in to go golfing for the day and then, fly back out. High-end resorts, they wanted to build another one in Nova Scotia. In a provincial park.
In a provincial park, at a time when the province, a couple of years ago, committed to protecting 20% of our land by 2030, and this would have just actively reduced the number of existing land that's already protected. But yeah, I mean, that was pretty exciting for a lot of people. A lot of people are upset about that, and I think rightfully so. I don't think private developers should be able to get their little fingers on protected land. But
fair enough.
I also do want to complain a little bit. I think that it's great that Tim decided not to sell out the park, but I just wanted to say he's doing a pretty horrendous job of keeping up with that commitment of protecting our land here in Nova Scotia. We're at 13%.
Okay.
He's supposed to be at 15 by the end of 2026 or something like that. Anyway, some good news, but still lots to complain about. Thanks.
Have a great weekend. Thank you. Be right back on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Arlene up next on Talkback, Friday Free for All. Hi, Arlene.
Hello, Rob.
Yeah, hi, Arlene. What's on your mind?
It's not all gloom and doom from Calgary. I'm very optimistic that things are going to go ahead with this, all these big projects. We had our Prime Minister, of course, in B.C., visiting 4 different places and handing out some major projects. And I think that's just a precursor for what might Alberta get. Our premier isn't kicking and screaming right now about that, and that's unusual. No. And so I really think that the Grey Cup announcement will be the gift for Alberta.
Well, you're a very optimistic person.
I listen to you all the time.
You do?
Mornings
okay.
And one thing I will, other than say that, Wayne said that all what I was going to say about the petition we all signed, about near 500,000 of us, and I never will see Alberta leaving our country.
Now, here's what I've heard about this. He cited the number 460,000 people. This was to sign the petition for the referendum question to stay in Canada, right? Reject independence. Here's what I've heard from the people on the other side, the pro-independence people, is that people were signing that petition because they want, let's have that referendum just so they can vote against us. That's what I've heard.
Oh, I haven't heard that. that.
Okay. All right.
But at any rate, every function I was going to, they were having us sign these, and everyone seemed so optimistic. But at any rate, I never see Alberta leaving. Now, one other little thing I was really ticked off about this morning is that MP, House Leader of 9 Days, $174,000.
Yeah.
That just gets your dander up. My God, we've got to have some accountability in auditing. Make an example of this woman and how much of this is going on. I mean, that's disgraceful. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, she's issued a statement saying that, well, there's nothing to see here, and this is the office, and it has staff. But to Mr. Korski's point, Tom Korski, that's his story.
Yeah.
You're the government House leader. The House was prorogued. There's nothing happening in the House. Right?
Well, I know.
What are all these people doing? Right. Okay. Yeah, I got you. Okay. I don't think we've heard the end of that story. I don't think one statement from the House leader's office is going to put that to rest, and we'll await any updates on it. Thank you for your call. Back to Halifax. Dave is in Halifax. Hi, Dave.
Hey, how you doing?
Very good, Dave. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Yeah, a couple of comments around the safe supply.
Yeah.
I mean, when did hope become a strategy for getting anything done? I mean, this is part of the problem. Is the bleeding heart liberals want to hope that if we just keep people on, safe supply, supposedly in air quotes, that somehow they're going to wake up one day and go, you know what, I should get into treatment. Like that's stupidity on an enormous level. My second point would be this, that, I mean, I heard you say it, so I want to challenge you a little bit. It's not a disease, Rob.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
No, it's not a disease, man.
Yes, it is.
Like, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you're walking down the street one day and suddenly you are an addict because you caught a disease? No. It's a criminal activity that gets you hooked on a chemical dependence. Right?
Okay.
That's not a.
Well, that's your opinion. I disagree with that. Every medical association, the Canadian Medical Association, American Medical Association, they all say it's a disease. Not only is it a disease, it's a progressive disease. Okay.
And these are the same people who we're listening to on Safe Supply, right?
Not necessarily. No.
Well, yeah, so you can't have it both ways, Rob. This is the thing. We listen to the medical experts that tell us safe supply is the right way to go, and we should just hope one day that this person,
Well, I'm not sure how many of these people are actually. I'm not sure how many of these people are medical experts. They're saying experts. A lot of them could be social justice activists, not necessarily medical experts at all, right?
Well, likely not in the government, right? I mean, these are government folks. So they're not likely social justice experts in the government. Certainly not in the liberal government.
Right. I mean, I think you and I are on the same path. You think it's the wrong approach. I have always thought it's the wrong approach.
100%.
Where we differ, and we'll just agree to disagree without being disagreeable, is I don't think you should criminalize drug addiction. I don't necessarily view people who are addicted to drugs. Addiction does not discriminate. Okay, all races, all classes, rich, poor, men, women, old, young. It can impact anyone. I don't think you need to criminalize that. View people as bad people. You view them as sick people who need help. And the question is this helping them?
Right, but
1-833, I gotta run. 1-833-668-2577 is Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Jody's in Calgary. What's on your mind today, Jody?
Hey, Rob. I was just thinking, remember when Canada was putting illegal immigrants in hotels?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe they should change that, and they should look, and they should find all the homeless veterans that are on the streets of Canada and put them in hotels.
Well, I suppose you could do that. Yeah, I suppose you could do that.
There's apparently there's over 10,000 homeless veterans right now in the streets of Canada. Like, that is That is really disgusting.
Yeah, we talked about that on Remembrance Day. We talked with a couple of organizations on Remembrance Day that are helping to solve that problem.
Yeah, I mean, like when I heard that on the news the other day, I just got sick to my stomach. I'm like, what? Like, these people fought for our freedom, and they're on the streets right now? Like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, there are people on the streets, though. Some of them, they don't thrive in a shelter environment. Some of them aren't even aware of the benefits that they can get from Veterans Affairs. I'm not making excuses, but this is just the way it is. PTSD, addiction issues, just like you would find in the general homeless population, right? But you're right.
Yeah.
It is a staggering number, 10,000 homeless veterans. That was according to one of our experts that we had on Remembrance Day.
Yeah, and on a more like fun, like positive or whatever. I bet the Blue Jays, I bet the Maple Leafs are really looking at Marner right now, saying, "Wow, we shouldn't have got rid of Marner." I mean, their team is like they lost 5 straight. Marner's having a good year right now in Vegas. And I think Toronto.
I knew they were going to regret that. I knew they were going to regret that. They just ran that guy out on a rail.
I know.
Where are you going to go? Okay, where's the almost 100 points that he's given you every season? Where do you replace that?
And you look at Matthews; he's not the same player right now.
No, Andy's hurt.
He's not the same player without Marner, So, but
and now he's hurt,
I just think it's funny. Yeah, and one more.
Now, last week when you called, I think it was last week you called. You were all the Habs.
I know. They lost 2 straight.
7-0.
I know, and
7-0.
5-1. Yeah, that was. Yeah, they're a young team, and they're going to have to have some meetings there. They play Boston tomorrow night, so.
Yeah. My Ottawa Senators just put the boots to Boston. Now the Ottawa Senators, even without Tkachuk and Shabbat, the Ottawa Senators all of a sudden tied with Montreal. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited.
Too, for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty close. It's pretty close in the East right now. Still early. Lots of hockey to play. Nobody wins the Stanley Cup in November. All right. Thank you for your call. Bye-bye. Be back right after the news on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
The home stretch of the Friday free-for-all. Love to hear from you today. John in Halifax. Hi, John. What's on your mind, John? Oh, no, John. Okay, let's go to Tom in Cambridge then. Let's try Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Anything that came in the budget, by the time it comes completed, the world would have moved on. Different kind of technology that they're working on now. So all of that stuff, mines, submarines, everything.
We're not going to need nickel anymore? Not going to need nickel anymore? Not going to need copper anymore?
Yes,
don't need graphite anymore.
These aren't big things. Yeah, first of all,
don't need electricity. We don't need electricity anymore.
There's no money to get it. Like we're headed a different road. So, all the money they want to spend, it's not going to happen. They don't have the money. So that's the only thing I'm saying. I wish.
Obviously they have the money. They can raise the money. They can sell bonds. They can raise taxes. The government is never going to run out of money, sir.
Yeah, so the people that are making minimum wage are going to pay for all this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no money there.
Well,
we have no industry. The auto industry is gone. All the others are going to be gone by then. So.
Okay. Yep. Cheery as always, Tom. You're cheery as always. Does a rain cloud follow you wherever you go, Tom? You're always so negative.
Well, because we're going to end up going with the Americans.
Okay. I think, look, some of these projects, my only complaint about these projects is there's no pipeline. And if part of this is to make the Canadian economy more resilient and less reliant on the United States, we're shipping 90% of our oil to the United States. when we have customers all over the world who want to buy it. We should be selling it from Atlantic Canada. We have lots of natural gas in Nova Scotia that we can sell to Europe, for example. And of course,
Europe is not going to buy it. They're not going to buy the dirty oil. They're not going to buy any of their...
I didn't say oil. I said natural gas. I said natural gas. I said natural gas. Pay attention. And as well, they will buy oil. It's been proven through the pipeline that the government was forced to buy, that they will buy Alberta oil and ship it off to Asia because they're doing it right now, along with our LNG. It just doesn't make any sense.
Why would Asia buy when they can buy it cheaper from the Russians? They're not going to buy it.
They're buying it now. They're buying it now. They're buying it now, sir.
I don't know.
All right, Tom, I'm going to move along.
I worry.
Okay. Look, mines are good. Mining jobs are good. Unionized mining jobs are good jobs. It's good to have copper mines. It's good to have nickel mines. It's good that they're going to be mining for graphite in Quebec and, mining for tungsten and whatever the other critical mineral is that's supposed to be in that mine in northern New Brunswick, molybdenum, I think it's called. But these projects were all well advanced. Some of them have been in the planning stages for years and years and years. We know what the real need is in this country, and it would be good for the country. It would be good for the unity of the country, too. And that's a pipeline from northern Alberta, northern British Columbia, and I would also suggest a pipeline east, to a place like, St. John, New Brunswick, where there's that big fat oil refinery. Zach in Calgary. Hi, Zach. You're up next.
Hi, Rob. How are you?
Very good, Zach. Thank you. What's on your mind today?
So the Safe Supply program, for me, is obviously a catastrophic failure.
Okay.
And it's one of the many reasons why people, I think, are starting to notice the anger, disassociation, general problems with young people, particularly men. That's the angle I want to approach.
Okay.
To me, it's moral gaslighting. Like, it contradicts common sense. It's causing deep cognitive dissonance and anger. It subsidizes dependency. It's attacking, the natural male inclination towards self-mastery and responsibility. It leads people to feel like they're betrayed by society. And, a gentleman brought up a point, and I don't really agree with him. I'm kind of more in the middle. Like, the consequence of classifying addiction as a disease, I understand it because, lung cancer as a consequence of smoking. But it also, in a practical sense, it removes agency from the individual. Many drug addicts, they fall into despair and they adopt there's nothing I can do about it. It's like an infliction on me. It's not, it's not something I can control. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's
I see your thought. I see your thought process, though. But diseases can also be treated. Diseases can become manageable.
For sure.
And I would suggest to you that addiction is one of those diseases.
Yeah, anyways, I won't go on a tangent with that, but my last point is kind of, it's a product of like this institutional collapse that you were mentioning last week. When we abandon the common good and objective truth for an ideological reason, like increasing drug use while claiming safety, it just makes these institutions profoundly untrustworthy. Like nobody, how can we trust the medical institutions on anything when they're saying these things? It's like the judges, defending pedophilia.
Okay, well, in that case, they're not necessarily defending pedophilia, but they were denouncing mandatory minimum sentences.
Yeah.
And the lack of discretion that it offers judges.
Yeah.
Judges don't like to be told by politicians what sentences they can impose. I disagreed with that ruling, by the way, sure. just because of the thought process using this highly suspect hypothetical scenario of the 18-year-old getting an unsolicited picture of a nude 17-year-old from the same school, and that this would somehow make its way to a court and the person could get a 1-year mandatory minimum sentence.
Yeah,
The whole thought process was kind of ridiculous to me. I appreciate your call. Got to run, Zach. Got to run. Yeah, a little tight on time here in the closing innings. Third period, fourth quarter, final few minutes here of Talkback for this week on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Yeah, it sure is. Friday free-for-all Talkback, as a matter of fact. Let's go to John, is in Halifax today. Hello, John.
Hi, Rob. How you doing?
Yeah, very good, John. What's on your mind?
Well, I think people need to be a little bit more patient when it comes to Kern. He's only been in since March, and he's been producing a lot of different projects. They're going to take a while, right?
Yeah.
Alberta,
okay.
just wait, Alberta, because Grey Cup or soon after, he's going to be announcing something now. I think he gave 4 projects to BC because of Abby was fighting it, right? About the extra pipeline, and he's going to get that. Now, who would you rather in there? A career politician or a businessman that ran the Bank of Canada, ran the UK, and now has Brookfield. So what if he gets some contracts at Brookfield as long as they're cheaper than anyone else? You know what I mean? Like, there's no problem there. I don't see no problem. He is a businessman. He knows what to do. Instead of like Trudeau, that just gave up money everywhere.
Again, I come back to this. What is the single most valuable export that we have in this country?
Oil, and it's going to be there, but he's
where does 90% of it go?
The United States, and I understand that. I understand,
right.
and they get it at cheap rates, right? So, but BC Premier was fighting the extra pipeline. So what's he do? He's going to give him 4 projects, more than everybody else. So we get that pipeline in from Alberta to BC. Now, he should do what you mentioned.
I hope you're right.
Put a pipeline in from Alberta to the East Coast. That would be really sweet, right? But I don't know about you, but he's going to help Nova Scotia with the wind farm, right? And also, with the homes and that, I had never seen so many cranes in Halifax in my life. They're everywhere. Apartments going up everywhere, right? Prices are going to come down. Now, they have to do something about the control of the grocery stores. More independent grocery stores need to be put out there. There's a big battle right now in Halifax when it comes to property that they own, Sobeys and Superstore, where people cannot put independent groceries buildings there. They're not allowed. So there's going to be, they're looking at that. Now, the little problems that he's having with some of his politicians, he'll fight them. He'll put them in order. He knows what he's doing.
I see no evidence of that.
He will, and I don't understand why they always peg him with Trudeau. Trudeau, even though he was counselor, who says that Trudeau listened to him? Right? Trudeau's his own man.
Okay. All right. Well, you're very confident, and the premier, look, what is it? You get more bees with honey than vinegar. Maybe that's the premier of Alberta's position right now. She's willing to, give it time. She still sounds hopeful that maybe something would be announced by the Grey Cup. Why you would wait till the Grey Cup if you do like a big event, on Thursday, you're going to wait till Sunday and just spring. Oh, and by the way, here's project number 7, and it is going to be a pipeline from Northern Alberta to Prince Rupert. I would like that. I've been pretty clear about that. I don't think it's going to work out that way, even though the vast majority of Canadians support more pipelines, a pipeline to the west and a pipeline to the east. Even people in British Columbia, even people where I live in Quebec. But there are political calculations to consider here. Where do the Liberals win seats? Okay. Does that make it an easy decision for Mark Carney to say no to Alberta? There are 37 ridings in Alberta. The Liberals hold 2 of them. What's his name in Calgary and what's her name in Edmonton? And they are hardly part of Mark Carney's inner circle. What province is the reason that the Liberals even won the last election? Quebec. Okay. The Liberals lost seats in Ontario. They lost 5 seats. They gained seats in Quebec. They picked up 10 seats, 44 seats. That was all about Trump. A lot of people who would have voted for the Bloc voted for the Liberals instead because of Trump. They thought Carney would be better for Quebec than the Bloc would be in dealing with Trump. What could the Bloc do to deal with Trump? And the Liberals picked up seats in British Columbia as well, and they want to keep them. The reason they picked up seats in British Columbia is because the NDP collapsed. The NDP lost a bunch of seats in BC in the last election. They went from 13 BC seats down to 3. Carney owes his minority government to voters in BC and to voters in Quebec who want a progressive option, a stronger voice on climate change than they thought they would get from the Conservatives. Is he going to sacrifice potential seats in BC and in Quebec to keep Alberta happy when Alberta only sent 2 Liberals to Ottawa? Draw your own conclusions there. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Randall up next on Talkback. Might even be the last word of the week. Hi, Randall. What's on your mind?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, enjoy the carnival that is the Mark Carney Show. Hi, Albert. Okay. You guys have a great and every. I just want to say, according to the UN convention, and even a high schooler knows this. This is where I got the information from. You got to love kids; they're great. You can't landlock a nation, so David Eby better choose his words very carefully, and Carney better come up with a solution to make Albertans happy. Because if we do separate, guess what? Steamrolling them right through, and there's not a thing they can do about it. We'll have clean and clear access to tidal water if we're landlocked. That's the UN says that. That's not me. That's not Trump. That's not Danielle. That's reality. The reality is we will build those pipelines. If they don't let us build them, we're going to build them. We don't want to separate, you know?
Okay. All right. Thank you. David Eby, I am not impressed with David Eby. He is not at all. And thank you for your call. Thank you for all your calls this week. I'll close, I guess. David Eby is not like the late John Horgan. Yeah, John Horgan was a Democrat, but he was more of a pragmatist. David Eby is not like that. David Eby is an activist. He's not a pragmatist. He comes from the activist wing of the BC New Democrats. I would say blue hair, nose rings. He's not a moderate. He's a far left-wing activist who has embraced all of the wild and crazy ideas that the left has come up with that we've seen don't work. All the proven failures. It was David Eby legalized drugs. David Eby loves supervised consumption sites. David Eby loves safe supply. David Eby loves being soft on crime and hardcore on the environment and being anti-fossil fuels. Even though his own government's a giant hypocrite on fossil fuels, because BC's most valuable export commodity may soon be LNG, but it's not right now. It's coal. It's coal. It's $9 billion worth of coal out of British Columbia every year. Coal that is used in blast furnaces to make steel in Japan and South Korea and China. And I'm sure some of you have seen the mountains and mountains of coal near the port of Vancouver and near the port of Prince Rupert. Coal, bituminous coal, metallurgical coal, one of the most greenhouse gas intensive fossil fuels. And in David Eby's British Columbia, they can't mine enough of it and can't export it fast enough. And yet there is a 6'7" tall hypocrite on legs saying, oh, there's never going to be a pipeline from Alberta to Prince Rupert because it would be bad for the environment. It's too much to bear sometimes. And he knows if the prime minister actually did want a pipeline, there's some question about that. There's nothing his government could do to stop a pipeline. We've been here before with court battles over whether provincial governments can block pipelines. And the Supreme Court has ruled unanimously they can't. Pipelines cross interprovincial borders. The moment that happens, that means the federal government calls the shots. The only question remains, what shot is Mark Carney going to call? Is he going to listen to eco-radical, left-wing activist David Eby and prevent trade diversification of Canada's most valuable export? Or is he going to do what he surely knows is the right thing to do for the country? It's a no-brainer. Thank you for all your calls this week. Enjoy your weekend. Back on Monday with new topics, a confidence vote on the budget, and always the latest breaking news. Coming up next on News Radio.